Hey guys, it's just Man over here, also known as Troy, and um, I just want to say that, well, I apologize that I didn't make a video in a month because I gotta, help with my grandparents and a lot of stuff, and um, pretty much I mostly talked about it in the channel update. If you haven't seen that video, I will put the link down in the description below so you can see the channel update video about my problems, why I don't get, videos much faster as I used to than before. Like every week, I would have new videos every week. But I can't because I have a lot of family, not family problems, but like, family business, like to do chores and stuff and around the house, so it won't let me have time to make a video. Right now I'm making the first Sino-Japanese War, so that's coming up soon. So it's not done yet, but I'm continuing editing it right now. But right now here that I want to talk to you about is that you see, I volunteer at a museum, and the museum is called the Joyce Herbert VFW Post 226 Veterans Museum. So basically, this museum is a military museum. So we have interesting stuff about from the we have artifacts from the Civil War um to Afghanistan to the present day, and it's just not a lot of, it's just a sad sight to see that not a lot of people come in and take a look at the museum. And even we have President Roosevelt's cape that was worn in the Yalta Conference in 1945, and like I said, it's a really sad sight to see. And I don't think that we could you know make the museum such larger. So please donate to the VFW museum, please. We're trying to make the museum, um I would say, how do I say this, um survive much longer, so we can teach other younger generations that history is actually important and also can be fun. History is actually important, and if you find it boring, it can be fun too. You know what I mean? And here's the thing, it's just sad that people is just not interested in history anymore. Okay? Um, there's just not, and it's just frustrating. It really is, and people don't realize how important our history, Now, I get it that you're not interested in it, and I respect that. I respect other people's, opinions about, if you don't like history, that's you. But at least, you know, learn something. At least like learn something about history. At least, learn a tiny bit, even if you're not interested, like a tiny little bit, so you can remember the past. Remember, for example, like the Second World War. It was the worst, deadliest conflict in human history. A lot of people died, like millions of people. 71 million people died in the war. You know, 71 million people died, and it's it was the worst war ever. You know, for now, I guess. It's just it's by casualties. This was just the worst war ever. 71 million compared to other wars. This is the most deadliest war in human history. The Second World War, and not a lot of people come in about and these veterans have their personal stories, and they're not even on a history book. They tell you their personal stories, what happened in their life, that what happened, during war. They have World War II vets, Korean War vets, Vietnam War vets, Afghanistan, Iraq vets, and they tell you what their experiences were, and I'm, God forbid, and I'm asking you guys to help the Veterans Museum, help the Veterans Museum. I will put the link down in the description below, to help our veterans that that really help in need, and so forth, and also for the museum to go up and running. Because let me tell you a story that in lunchtime in my school, what I do is I go to my history teacher, and I help the students, about history if they need the help, because me, I'm a history buff. I like history, and that's my thing, and I help them, and most of them, you could just tell on their faces that they're not very interested. It's just not very interesting. There was I would say only one guy that found it interesting, and he answered all those questions right, all of them right, and because he was reading, he was studying, and he liked it, and I was I'm very proud of him, and I'm just so proud of this boy. And you could just tell most of them were just not interested, and it's right if you don't like history, but at least learn something about it. Because the reason why we learned history, people, is to don't do them again. Those are our mistakes in the past. Don't do them again, okay? We learn from our past mistakes, and we don't do them again. So right now in our history class, we're talking about the First World War, World War One, and we looked at the Western Front, and how technologies grew rapidly with technology, with machine guns, artillery. We're not using cannons anymore. Cavalry start to die out. We're just finding our new ways to kill each other. You know what I mean? And and this very young lady, she was like, oh yeah, fun. No, I was like, that's not fun. Killing each other. It's not really that fun. Killing each other. Wars are and I felt so disgusted. You know what I mean? That why killing people is not fun. War is not a fun thing. That's the reason why we gotta remember history, people. It's not to repeat them in the past. It's not fun. War's not fun. You're just killing each other. That's just pretty much what it is. And World War One was mostly about trench warfare, right? So you know how trench warfare is. It's slow. It's very, very slow. And and it's very, very super very slow. And you want at least kind of a mile of land at least. And that's how much that you would get if you even win the battle. And millions of people died in this conflict. And it was just a worse place to live in if you look at those trenches. The soldiers would get trench foot. If you stand in the water too long, if shit artillery for hours and hours on end. It's one of the deadliest conflicts in history. And just and my question is how do you live through all that? And machine guns, what the soldiers do, they charge into machine guns, they just charge into machine guns until that, the other side of until the enemy was overrun, or at least the Allies have to fall back if they have taken too much casualties. And it's just sad, it's just a sad sight to see. And with this museum it's just falling apart just by the looks of it, it's just it's just so sad, and you know, not a lot of people realize how important our history is, and we should learn it more. You know, in in schools we should learn it more, and you know, and the reason why we, like I said, the reason why we teach the younger generation is that um to not to repeat what happened in the past. Just imagine World War One repeated in 2019. It wouldn't be good. It's trench warfare, and just imagine, you know, modern armies charging into machine guns, and millions, just millions of people would fall dead, even not thousands into one day, just like the Somme and Verdun. Even like the Somme, 100,000 British died one single battle. One single battle. I mean, you know, no, not one single battle, but like one day, I would say. The first day of the conflict, that's what I would say. Like, the one day, 100,000 British fell. And it was the worst military disaster in, in British history, you know. And Verdun is, you know, says the same thing too. It was very worse for the French soldiers, you know. I think, let me see if I get my numbers right. 300,000 French soldiers died. I think 327,000. Let me see. Let me look it up. So, according to Wikipedia, 379,000 casualties for the French. 336,000 for the Germans. You know, and it's just horrible, you know, if you just look at them, you know, and the conditions with no man's land, and between those trenches with the soldiers, and like I said, you're getting for men, and I'm like, what are these soldiers, you know, I know they're fighting for their countries, but, you know, and, hey, if I was in World War I wouldn't enlist too, you know, I wouldn't stay back, I wouldn't enlist and join the army as well, and fight in the front lines, but I'm just saying, like, what are these soldiers fighting for? Like, for a piece of land? Like a small piece of territory? Like a mile piece of territory? And I'm not being anti-military, you know, I support the troops, and hey, God bless our veterans that, you know, that fought in all kinds of war, World War II, Afghanistan, Iraq, you know, God bless them, you know, and, you know, God bless them. And, you know, but just looking at the First World War, you know, and what these French soldiers have to, you know, deal with. You know what I mean? Not just French, you know, British, Russian, German, Austro-Hungarian, Italian troops, you know, Ottoman troops, any kind of troops, what they had to deal with during the First World War. Even Gallipoli, I think in Gallipoli, most of the soldiers died from disease than just, you know, then just shot down. Same against the Civil War too. They died from diseases, and you know, and most of the soldiers in the Civil War didn't die from battle wounds. Most of them died from diseases. I mean, sure, yeah, they did die from battle wounds, you know, from gunshots, you know, cannons and all that sort of stuff, and but most of them died from diseases, you know, and but like I said, I just think that we need to teach more history in schools. I did another rant about that. And just, like I said, learn about, you know, our history a little bit more, and give respect to the veterans who fought in those wars, you know, and, you know, and I know you might be saying, you know, Troy, yeah, she might be joking. Yes, everyone has a dark humor. You know, everyone has a dark humor, but I just can't find that funny. At least have the respect for the soldiers that fought and died, you know, not just here in the United States, from across the world as well, from any war. You know, if it be the Second World War, it could be Vietnam, it could be the First World War, it could be, you know, any war. It doesn't have to be the United States. So, alright, that's what I'm just gonna tell you, you know, so please, donate. The museum asks for your help. You know, please donate. I will put their website down in the description below. So please donate to the Joyce Herbert VFW Post 226 Veterans Museum, and you know, they need your support. And I'll put the link down in the description below, because we need to educate our youngsters about our past and our history. And you know, history just matters, you know, and it really does, you know. And you know, and matter of fact, speaking of family, I'm the only one in my family that's interested in it. Nobody else. You know, not my cousins, I don't have any brothers, but I'm the only one in my family that is interested, you know? That is interested. Nobody else is interested in my family. It's sad, you know, it's sad. You know, I'm glad that I have you guys that, you know, that you like history as well. And we even talk about history as well, too. And I'm happy for that. So, so like I said, vote, not vote, donate to the Veterans Museum, please. They need your support, and give you support as anything as they can, you know, to make, you know, to get the museum up, back and running, and make it survive as long as we can, because we, you know, because we had this museum for 12 years, and you know, and it's still going down, because you know, like I said, nobody's not interested in history anymore. And I might make another video how you can make history fun. You could do some history as well. I'm probably make another video about that later on. So this is my news. Please donate to the VFW Museum. They have very, very good stuff, and we just want it to keep on running. So like I said, so we can teach our younger generations about our human history, of our past conflicts, of the history of this nation, not just the nation, but the world as well. So, History Man out.